Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today we are going to get started with all of our seeds. Yes, it is a 2023 seed starting season. It is a little bit late for a lot of the seeds that I wanted to get in this year, but that's all right. We're still going to get started today, and we're going to make this happen. So, what do we need to get started in planting seeds in these cups today? First of all, you need a few supplies. There are some things that you're going to need to purchase, but a lot of the things can be gathered from around the house. Now, along the lines of purchased items, you're going to need some kind of a soil. You really don't want to take anything from outside because everything that comes from outside is not sterile. It has all sorts of living things, microbes, creepy crawlies, all sorts of stuff that you do not want in your seed starting mix, because if you're growing something in the house, that stuff is going to thrive, because the indoor environment, when it's too cold to be outside, the indoor environment is absolutely perfect for all those microbes and bugs and bug eggs and mold to grow in this atmosphere. This is what's called a soilless potting mix. Soilless mixes mean that there's no outside influences that are in this bag. So basically there's nothing alive. Now the upside to that is you don't have all those creepy crawlies. On the downside to it, there's also no nutrients. In this particular case, with the pre-purchase mix, this does come with some starter fertilizer. So you don't really have to worry too much about getting fertilizer in the cups early on. Over time, that fertilizer will release itself into the soil and give nutrients to the plants. So that's the first thing you're going to need. Either make it yourself using a variety of ingredients. I'll post a video about that later. Or you can purchase a pre-made mix. The second thing you're going to need is going to be some sort of a cup. The cups can be either the 3.5-inch variety. You can use styrofoam cups from your kitchen, or you can even use some of these, which are the 6-cell trays that I use for most of my seed starting. It really depends on how many seeds you're looking to start. If you're looking to start quite a few seeds, as I typically do in a season, these 6-cell trays are absolutely necessary, because if I were to plant all of my seeds in a 3.5-inch cup, I would have trays all over the house, and my wife would probably be serving me with divorce papers. So anyway, you're going to need some cups. You're going to need the soil. The next thing you're going to need is some seeds. The seeds that I have here, as I had shown in my previous video, are all a variety of seeds that I've collected over the past year or two. I get them from several different sources. M.I. Gardner is a big one. I also use some Burpee seeds. I also have some from Baker Creek. And you don't have to buy fresh seed every year, because seeds can be viable for quite a long time. If you're wanting to maximize your efficiency and making sure that the germination is as close to 100% as possible, make sure you stick with the freshest seed possible. But there's nothing that says that these seeds will not grow this year. As a matter of fact, there are videos on the internet, you can look them up. M.I. Gardner is one of them, who sprouted an 87-year-old tomato seed. And we actually have some of those seeds today. He sold a limited number of his seeds on his website, and I purchased some seeds, and now we are going to be growing, at this point, it's now 90-year-old genetics. This tomato is 90 years old this year, and we are going to be trying to sprout that again this year. I grew 2 plants last year, and I will be growing many more this year, because the tomatoes actually were quite delicious. So we have our seeds, we have our soil, we have our cups. Some other items that are not absolutely necessary, but are definitely helpful when I do seed starting, are things like paper towel, because obviously my hands are going to get messy. I'm going to get my hands in a lot of dirt. We are going to be using some fresh water. I use any kind of non-chlorinated distilled spring water type thing. Use what you got. You don't have to go out and spend money. If you're using tap water, it might be good to let it sit for a day or two out in the open to let all the chlorine expel off of it. And the water will be just fine. Don't worry about that. Don't stress yourself about it. I also use a large bowl This bowl is going to be used to mix the soilless potting mix with the water to pre-moisten the soil so that when you go to put it in the cups, you already have moisture in the cups. Having moisture in the cups is absolutely integral to soil germination. You don't want to have them too moist. You don't want to have them too dry. So I have a bowl of water already set up here, ready to put some mix into it. We're going to get it moistened and put in the cups. Lastly, I want to also point out I use a scoop. You don't have to use this. You can use a shovel from your house, from your garden. I just have this scoop in the house. It happens to be sitting around. And then I also have a very large tray that I use to plant everything, because on that tray is where all of my spillage will spill over, and I don't have to worry about having a big mess to clean up at the end. And that's pretty much all you need to get started. If you have the means to get one, these are called 10-20 trays. These trays will fit the exact size of these cups, so you can have 18 different cups in one tray. Now that's also, the way this is set up, these are also designed to sit precisely in the tray, so when you lay them out side by side, you now have 6 plants along one side of the tray. If you can get these, that's fantastic. You can pick them up at your local big box store. I happen to purchase them on Amazon. That's the easiest way for me. These, you get them in a pack of 120 of these. They come in a pack, and they last me for several seasons. Once you purchase these, you can reuse them for 2 to 3 seasons. It's no problem. I use them until they crack. And I generally get about 2 to 3 seasons out of them. So this pack of 120 will probably last me 2 or 3 years, if not longer. We'll see how long it goes. I've already had them for 2 seasons, and we'll see how long they go. These also are purchased on Amazon. You can buy them in bulk. You can buy 100 of them, 200 of them, 500 of them. Maybe I'll try to put a link in the description below so that you can click on there and get over there. I don't have an affiliate program or anything like that, so it's just going to be a link to get you to where you can purchase them if you want to spend the money. If you don't want to spend the money, you can easily use things like the little Dixie cups, the little paper cups. You can use leftover cups that you had from the greenhouse from last year if you purchased plants at a greenhouse last year. You can also use styrofoam cups, so you can use the little clam shells that you get your salads in, when you buy a salad at the grocery store. You can always use one of those as well because they already have holes in them generally. Fill them with soil, put some seeds in there, and watch them grow. It's not complicated, and really all you need is the soil, the cups, and the seeds. That's your basics. Everything else here is just a nice frill to have, and I'll go through each one coming up right here. So now let's get started, and let's see if we can get some of these seeds in the soil. All right, so what I've actually done here is I've gone ahead and pre-moistened the soil. And basically all it is just putting the soil into the bowl. The potting mix is now in the bowl, and I added water to the mix. As I said before, this actually isn't soil. It is a soilless potting mix, so it's completely inert. There's no living organisms in this, and there is just a little bit of organic nutrients. So in this, as you can see right here, it looks fairly dry. You don't see a lot of moisture in there, but if I were to squeeze it, there is moisture. So that is just a little bit too moist for what we need. If you grab it and squeeze it, and that much water comes out, that's way too moist for this soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit more of the mixture. That will hopefully absorb some of that liquid. That's what we're going for here. You just want to get the right consistency so that the seeds are not overly moist or too dry. Add a couple more scoopfuls in there. See how it feels? Give it a squeeze. It's a little bit better. Keep mixing. Give it a squeeze, and there you go. Just a little bit of water coming out. That's a much better mixture. So that's kind of what you're looking for. It'll stay together, but it crumbles very easily in your hands. And now you know you've got a mixture that looks pretty good. And now we can go ahead and get started on filling up these cups. So to fill up the cups, as you can see, they have holes in the bottom. That's what you want to make sure you have. You want to have good drainage, okay? For whatever you're putting the seeds in, you want to make sure there's good drainage. So all you have to do is just take the cup and put the soil into the cup. You don't have to push it in too hard. You see it's in and smooth with the top. Now what I typically do is I will push it down just a little bit. Give it a little bit of pressure. You don't want to compact the soil too much. Give it a little bit of pressure. And you can see exactly where there wasn't enough soil. Then just take a little bit more and sprinkle over the top and rub that in. And you're all set. Now you have your cup ready to go. You do the next cup, it actually goes quite fast once you get used to it. You just start putting the soil into the cup, push it down a little bit, and top it off like this. As you can see, it does get a little bit messy, which is why we use a tray. I'll just do 3 for now so I can show you how this goes, and then we'll move on to the next step. Get the soil in there, push it down just a little bit, top it off with a little more of the mix. I keep using the word soil. It's not soil, it's potting mix. But anyway, seed starting mix actually. But anyway, so that's the start of it. So now you've got 3 cups completed. And now we can get started on placing the seeds into the cups. Okay, I gave us a little bit more light here so you can actually see what we're doing at the potting mix level. Now what I typically do, I'm going to start with these giant crimson seeds. Those are the 90-year-old genetics I was telling you about before. What I typically do when I want to plant a seed is I'll make a little area where I'm going to be placing that seed. So as you can see, right in here, I'm going to take the end of a dull pencil. I've used this for probably 5 years now. And just make a little indentation in there. Just a little bit of something to give it a place for the seed to rest. So make a little hole, make a little hole, make a little hole, and we're all good. You can use anything you want. You can use a pencil, eraser if you want to. Make a little hole like that. You can use any kind of a device you want, but just make a little cradle for it sitting right inside of there. So now we've got that all prepped out. All you have to do is take some of your seeds. These have been dried out from last year, so they're nice and dry. And as you can see, the tomato seeds, let me get a couple out for you here so you can see them. They're quite small. The seeds are very small. So these aren't the smallest seeds you're going to be planting if you're planting tomatoes. These are moderate size. But basically what I do is I put 1 or 2 seeds in each hole. That guarantees that I have the most chance of germination. So all I do is just drop 2 seeds in to each hole. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now I've got all 6 seeds in there. I'm going to pick this up, put those seeds back. I don't want to waste any seed here. These are very valuable seeds, so I want to make sure I save as many as I can. Alright. So now, you can see the seeds are down inside the hole. And all you really have to do is just take your finger and just kind of cover them up a little bit. Just make sure they're covered. Make sure they're all covered. You might be asking, how deep do you plant the seeds? Well, that's a good question. The standard rule of thumb is you want to plant the seeds about 3 times how wide the seed is. So if the diameter of the seed is about like this, you want to go 1, 2, 3. That's how deep you want it to go. So get it down in there a little bit, get them down in there a little bit, and then just cover them over. I always seem to err on the side of being just a little bit shallow. And the reason I do that is because the seed has all of the nutrients it needs to get started. That's why you don't need to put fertilizer in here just yet. So everything that seed needs to get about that tall is inside that seed right now. But there is a limitation. If you were to plant the seed too deeply, then, or if the seed was, if the potting mix was too compact, then when the seed sprouts, it wouldn't have the energy necessary to push up to the surface. If it was too deep, it wouldn't have enough energy to grow up high enough. If it was too compact and too dense, then the seed wouldn't have the energy to spread the roots throughout the cup. So that's why you don't want to plant the seeds in a potting mix that is too dense, and you don't want to plant them too deep. So that's how you plant 1 cup. It really takes only a few seconds to get a cup done. I will plant a few more for you. Maybe I can speed that up. And you'll be able to see exactly how quickly you can get a number of tomato plants in your potting mix. So the next seed we're going to start with is the San Marzano. These are very good paste tomatoes, good for Italian sauces, and absolutely something that we use a lot of every year in our cooking. So these are from last year, so they're already a year old, and I do have enough to get at least 1 cup of these down, because if you think about it, if we end up getting all 6 of these sprouted and germinated, and we have 6 plants in here, this is 6 tomatoes. This is 6 tomatoes. This is 6 tomatoes. So how many tomato plants are you really going to have? I generally try to only plant 1 variety in 1 thick cell and only plant 6. So that way I know I have enough tomatoes, enough tomato plants, and I don't have too many. Because when there's too many, I actually kind of feel a little bit bad that I have to kill them off or let them die off because I can't put them in the garden. So with this here, these seeds are actually even smaller. The San Marzanos are just a little bit smaller, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to poke a little hole in the center of each cup, and then drop 2 seeds in each hole. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. Oop, it went away. I'll get some more. Each seed pack will have, 25, 50, 100 seeds. Really, there's plenty to go around. So you don't have to worry about wasting 1 seed. Even though I feel bad, you don't really have to worry. And then 1, 2, right in there. So you got all those in there. I still have a couple of seeds left over in case they don't germinate. I can put this back and use it again in case this doesn't work, because there's a chance it will fail. And I'll still have some seeds to start over again. So now again, now you see the seeds are down in there. Push them down a little bit. Push them down a little bit. And cover them over. And you're done. Now, anybody who says, I can't grow plants because they don't have a green thumb, does not know how easy this actually is. It cannot get any easier than this. For the last cup here, I'm going to show you pepper plants. Really, the process is exactly the same. For the California Wonder made by M.I. Gardner, that's the seed purveyor for this particular seed here. I also purchased these about a year or so ago, and they should sprout just fine. And he said that there was 50 seeds in this pack. And I've been using these since, when did I purchase them? 2019, packed for the 2019 season. And I have gotten excellent results for these seeds every year. Now, is the germination rate going to be 100%? Maybe not. The seeds are already 3-4 years old now. So, maybe not 100%. But I bet you some of these are going to sprout. And I still have, even after planting for 3 years, 4 years, I still have seeds left. He packs so many seeds in these seed packs, it is definitely worth your money to shop at M.I. Gardener. I absolutely love his store, and I will go there for a long time. Now, for the pepper seeds, it's exactly the same way. You make a little hole. Just make a little hole. And drop in 1 or 2 seeds. Now, the difference with pepper plants versus tomato plants, as you can see, these seeds are going to be just a little bit larger. These are a little bit larger seed than a tomato seed. The difference between peppers and tomatoes is a tomato plant can only exist by itself. So you can't have 2 plants in one area. With pepper plants, on the other hand, you can actually space these seeds out a little bit. Here, I'll show you. As soon as I get them in the soil, I'll show you. What you can actually do is put 2 little holes in here, about 1 inch apart, 3/4 of an inch apart, 2 holes. Instead of having 1, just do 2 holes. And then in your two seed drop, you drop 1 in each hole. So as you can see, I have 1 here and 1 here. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to give some space for these 2 pepper plants to grow individually. And unlike the tomato plant, pepper plants can actually grow in tandem. So if I get 2 sprouts out of that cup, I can actually leave them both as is. So I will put this one over here. You can kind of move the seed over a little bit. Put a little hole here. Add another one. Move this seed over a little bit over here. Add another one. Like that. And now you've got double the pepper plants potential in 1 cup. Stick that down in there and cover it over. And you're all set. I have an entire cup of California Wonder Peppers. Now this year I'm actually going to be growing 2 6 cells of the bell peppers because everybody I know absolutely loves my bell peppers. And basically what ends up happening is I grow these 6, put these 6 in the garden, and then they all produce peppers, and peppers don't produce exactly the same way tomatoes do. You'll get a tomato plant that'll have, 6 or 8 tomatoes, 10 tomatoes on it in one time. But with pepper plants, they basically have 1 pepper ready at a time. So these 6 plants will only, produce a pepper here and there, Well, unfortunately, everybody loves my bell peppers so much that every time they come over, they clean out my pepper plants, and I don't have any peppers for myself. So basically, I'm going to be planting about 2 or 3 or more of these, and I'm going to probably have 18 of these plants in the soil this year, so I have enough for my friends, my family, and enough for my wife and myself. So basically, that's how you get started in putting the seeds in the soil. Let me take you back to the main screen, and we can get this finished up here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we are finished with this tray of planting today. And as you can see, it really doesn't take much of an effort to do. It took about 20 minutes work, and I was able to get an entire 1020 tray done, which is basically 72 total cells, 12 individual 6-cell cups. And the only thing left to do now is to mark them. How I typically mark them is with popsicle sticks that you can purchase by the thousand on Amazon. And I just write the name of the variety of what I'm growing and the date on the back. So you know the date that you planted the seed. Once you get all that done, you've got your seeds all tucked nice away inside the soilless potting mix. And the only thing left to do is to cover them up. If you can afford it, pick yourself up a humidity dome. These are also available on Amazon, or you can probably pick some up at a big box store. You don't have to have the tall ones. They also have short ones. I just have a tall one available right now. Keep them covered in a dark place until they sprout. And once the seeds germinate and get sticking out of the soil a little bit, immediately get them into the sunlight. As much sun as you can give them, and if you don't have access to sun right now, get yourself some sort of a basic grow light. You can use a specific bulb made for growing that you could purchase at your big box store, or you can use some really bright 5,000 plus Kelvin fluorescent lights and get them underneath some light. As much light as you can give them, about 3 inches off the surface of the soil. We'll go into that in more detail in future videos, but for right now, you've got your seeds in the soilless potting mix. You've got a humidity dome placed over the top. Put it in a dark place for about a week or so, and you're going to see these seeds sprouting. And I guarantee you, it is not complicated, and you can get plants growing in no time at all. And you'll have a garden and you'll be able to enjoy all season long. So I thank you for joining me today. And if you like my channel, please like this video and subscribe down below. And I'll have more gardening content for you coming up in the coming days. All right? Have a great day, folks.